Welcome back, guys. Puckett Duffman, Mr. Swanee, over from the UK. What time is it there, Swanee?
It is 11:15, I think, mate. Yep.
Wow. Appreciate you joining us so late in the evening over there for you. Now, our lobby just disbanded, but we got a game up right now. Let's jump into it. It's Nade Shot on your screen. 94-79, Optic Gaming leading Stunner. Another close one at the halfway point here. Game number 1 in their best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be as close as the match we just saw, TK and
Rise?
And, yeah.
Oh,
no,
sorry,
no,
TK FaZe, yeah.
TK FaZe, yeah, FaZe taking it by 1 point. I don't, especially with the slaying power of Optic Gaming on solo, you know, and their AR presence. I can't see it being as close a game as we just saw, but at the same time, you know, it's still a 15-point game at the 5-minute mark.
Now, Swanee, let me ask you this question because I asked Duffman earlier. FaZe won Columbus. Optic has won everything else. Who's the best team in the game right now, in your opinion?
I mean, good question. Very good question. I think
I said the same thing.
Judging by the league, you have to go with Optic.
If there was a LAN tournament tomorrow, let me put it this way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who wins now?
I think Optic would win.
Optic wins it now, okay.
I think just because it was the first tournament, Optic as a team, you know, although Nade and Scump have obviously previously teamed for a long time, and it's still, you know, there was still a chemistry issue. And even with the various problems, they still managed to come second, and they still managed to put in a pretty dominant performance. They managed to take the last map of the grand final. I think it takes time, you know. People are referring to them as a god squad, and they got, you know, somewhat criticised for coming second. But at the same time, I think people need to realise that the perfection that the fans want and that dominance that the fans want, it takes time. It's not gonna come overnight after one event.
All right, I totally agree with you there. Optic Gaming, they're going strong in their match, currently up 131-110 against that Stunner squad that surprised everyone by getting to the finals last week. They're guaranteed a top 8 finish, but only one of them will push to the top 4. Currently watching Justus face off against Prophecy, though. Prophecy, they made their way with a win over DT. Justus really struggling, going all the way to round 11 against Esport in their previous match. Too quick in the boys, giving them a run for their money. This is the first in the best of 5, and already Prophecy establishing dominance. 32 points on this first hardpoint.
This is all thanks to Fierce. He had a 6-0 start. Now currently 8-2. Parasite stayed alive in the hill basically the entire time. Hill's finally going to start to rotate here. And already a 36-point lead built for Prophecy. Fierce already a massive start. We're going to be on through the eyes of him. He's going to be kind of a go-to player, I think, in this series.
Parasite is doing a great job staying alive, at least for the start of this one. And we take it back to Fears, as you mentioned. This guy getting it done now. Swanee, talk to me a little bit about the difference between players who are using a bow with a foregrip and quick draw versus players who choose to go with, it looks like he's going to be rocking the red dot and getting rid of that grip option.
I'm surprised that people actually still use decide to use the grip over, or the red dot over quick draw. I think quick draw is just so necessary at the moment, especially post-patch. You know, we've seen the change in the meta game, whereas the ASM ones became more powerful. It's became a lot more fast-paced, and I think even given the movement and the different aspects of this game, it's a lot more fast-paced. And I think you need that quick draw. So I'm surprised people are electing to use the
one was buffed, the bow nerfed a little bit. What's the game like, and does it change? Do the loadouts change, I guess, based on the game mode you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different. Before we saw unanimously, you know, everyone used the BAL. It was 8 times BAL pretty much every map, every situation. Now, there are other options. You've even seen players like, you know, Clay pulling out I think it's the Amelie, the LMG, and a few other unorthodox choices. So it definitely opens up the choice of weapons that players can use a lot more. But I think the thing which is different with Call of Duty Ghost and Black Ops 2, for example, it was almost always, you know, regimented, 1 AR, 3 SMGs, whereas now you can kind of mix it up a bit. You can just change guns depending on the hill and depending on the situation, so it's not as if there are defined roles anymore.
Yeah.
Slacked inside the hard point, trying to hold it down for Justus. Now they lost basically all the time at that back hard point, trying to make it up here. Duffman, so far in this game, who's been your player to watch from each team?
God, it's been Fears, obviously, from Prophecy. The man's about to hit a 2.0 KD, 19 and 10. On the opposite side, no clear Slayer for Justus, but really the player that I've been seeing getting the crucial kills, especially off rotation, has been Slacked. Especially during this rotation to this back parking lot hill. He was able to stay alive and get that early kill time for his squad. It allowed him to bring this back into within a 30-point game. Right now, Justus still holds on to this hill for a little bit. 14 seconds left, and finally Prophecy's going to be able to break it. Hill's going to be rotating back, though. And looks like they're going to have the early rotation coming in from Justus. Should be able to pick up a lot of hill time here. This hill's very difficult to break, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is, as with a lot of maps, you know, the 4th hill, this hill, it's an incredibly important hill to hold, because the rotation from 3rd to 4th and then 5th, it kind of dictates the pace of the game, especially in the dire minutes, and whoever gets that rotation, whoever is able to capitalize on the most points, generally wins the game. And I think Justus, well, they nearly got broken, you know, as you said.
Ricky! Sorry. Yeah. Ricky just went on a 7 kill spree. Before that, guys, he was sitting at 6 and 15. So Ricky just came to life after a very slow start. He seems to be the hill man, but he had a nice 3-piece. Swanee, sorry to cut you off there. You said the 4th hill seems to be kind of the most important in a lot of different maps. Why do you think it is that way? Is it just the location?
Yeah, I think closer to the hill, and it was just easier to flood the front, whereas now retaining the spawns, you know, getting the spawns and maintaining them is a lot more important. And especially on the 4th hill on this map, if you control the spawns, they're going to spawn so far out. They're pretty much on another universe, and you can capitalize on at least, you know, 20 points before they even get near contesting it.
Hill has gone back to the initial starting point as we get back to round number 2 of Hardpoint spawns. 138 to 72. Prophecy continuing to pull away. Justus trying to close that gap, but when you look at the kill feed, it's mostly red here, guys. Moch, pretty quiet in this game, 20 and 21, but never really inside the hardpoint. I'm watching, though, for Classic to step it up, 13 and 22. When they're doing well, he's the man going off. He's been pretty silent.
A lot of captures to his name, but not able to stay alive in the hill, and I think that really boils down to the fact that Enable and Mochilla aren't slaying necessarily around the hill the way they normally are. They just continue to struggle in this. Meanwhile, across the way, Fears is now 28 and 17. I have him highlighted on my screen. He's going to be engaging in a gunfight with Mochilla. Hill's going to be rotated, and early rotation goes to Prophecy yet again. But back to what I was saying about Justus is Enable and Mochilla are not showing up right now. They're not the typical Enable Mochilla duo that we see, and that's causing a lot of problems for Classic, who is generally going to be in the hill. Slacked there to help as well, and they're both going pretty negative for the squad, despite how many captures they have.
ASM1's just not getting the kills that they want inside the hardpoint. Enable sticking with the ASM1, even though he's been a bit more aggressive outside of the hardpoint. Looking over at the Prophecy squad, though, obviously Parasite and Fears have stepped into those slaying positions, and I'm looking to see how is Parasite really getting the job done. The man is 29 and 18 so far, but he also has 7 captures to his name. A bit surprising to see him slaying, but getting most of these kills inside the hardpoint.
I think FaZe, you know, you mentioned Parasite's objective work inside the hill, but I think the main factor in this game has proven to be FaZe. You know, when you have a player going off with an AR and just asserting his presence, you know, across the map, especially on a map like this with huge lines of sight and a lot of long-range gun battles, it just makes the job of the SMGs incredibly fun. You've seen that reflected in the stats of Just.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. It's just not a presence on the opposite side from Justus, able to combat that right now. 165 to 120, 230 left. While this is mathematically possible, very clearly, and honestly possible by a team like Justus against Prophecy, with the pace of the game and the nature of Fears and Parasite right now, I just don't see Justus climbing into this unless the next hill when we get to the parking lot just goes incredibly in their way, and that could be a huge turning point for them.
Parasite picking up 36, 37 now after that 2-piece.
Oh, God.
Fears was in a power position up top before he can even get to the kills. Ricky is cleaning it up. That is an all red kill feed. Prophecy. Talk to me about the difference. Black Ops 2 was the last time we saw Hardpoint before this title. I was told there's no need for anchors anymore. Is that statement true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, given the fact that on Black Ops 2, as I said, it was defined roles, it was defined weapon choices. Your anchor would use the assault rifle and you'd have the 3 SMGs, a certain hill pressure throughout pretty much every map, every hill. Whereas on this game, because 4 people are effectively using the same weapon, and because the ASM and the BAL, they're not hybrids, but you know, you can do pretty much every role effectively with them. So it's just up to everyone to kind of chip in and fill in the gaps when necessary. If a player is in the position where he needs to anchor effectively with an ASM or anything, but it's mostly just about pushing for spawns as a team and then just pushing hill pressure. You don't need that defined anchor sitting at the back as you saw on you know, the back fountain or the back statue on Slums on Black Ops or other things. It's just oh god, indeed.
You watched Parasite
Ricky,
as well there?
No, I was watching Ricky just get a 3-piece. Started off with a punch. I know he's on a 3-point streak. He's gonna find another player, but finally get dropped. But Ricky likes to interrupt Swanee with his plays.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Ricky, actually. I've always regarded him as not particularly the most objective-orientated player, but he seems to have transitioned to that playstyle pretty well. I mean, you can see at the moment he's leading his team on caps by quite some distance.
And I actually saw Ricky immediately transition to the objective role, and that went back to the Optic Plays AW lane. It was his first time ever playing the game. First thing he did was control the uplink. He was the guy always holding onto the hard point. He seems to really flourish in this game under that new role, and I really like to see Parasite playing that kind of number 2 OBJ role, but still putting up most kills on his squad. He's getting the job done with the ASM-1, and I really feel like the addition of this weapon into the game mode has made Parasite an even more valuable player when working for that objective.
I mean, yeah, the fact that he's got over 40 kills with an SMG against a team of this caliber, it's pretty outstanding, to be honest.
44-27, 9 captures. Parasite, MVP in my opinion there on Solar Hardpoint. We're going to see pretty dominant performance in our first of 5 games. Quick update for you if you're watching the Optic match there in game number 2. Game 3 it looks like against this Stunner squad, currently tied up 1-1 at the half. We'll give you an update over everything, including Denial SB, which should have just gotten off, as well as TK and FaZe. The round of 8 continues live on MLG.tv.